Welcome to Religion, Sex, and Politics, your place to talk about the three things we're not supposed to talk about. If you haven't already, subscribe and ring the bell. And if you like our content, help out the channel by sharing this video with others. Denazification. That's one of Russia's aims in its current conflict with Ukraine. But I think of all Russia's objectives, it's the one that's by far the most underreported and most misunderstood. From what I can tell, most media outlets deny that there are any Nazis in Ukraine, period. In fact, according to the government-funded National Public Radio, quote, Putin's language about denazification is offensive and factually wrong. So in this video, I'd like to help you understand Russia's plan for the denazification of Ukraine and show you some of what we've seen come out of Ukraine regarding the issue of Nazis within Ukraine's decision-making body, within Ukraine's media, and most importantly, within the most ardent and radical elements of Ukraine's military. Much of today's neo-Nazi movement in Ukraine traces its origins back to a Ukrainian leader and Nazi collaborator named Stepan Bandera. Bandera was a radical ethnic nationalist who sought to establish Ukraine as an ethno-state that stretched from the Carpathian Mountains in the west to the Caucasian Mountains in the east. In order to make these lands inhabited by ethnic Ukrainians, however, the Banderas would have to ethnically cleanse the region of Romanians, Hungarians, Poles, Russians, and, like the Nazis, Jews and Gypsies. Bandera allied with Nazi Germany during the Second World War, hoping the alliance would lead to an independent Ukraine, led by one-party rule with himself as the Führer. Much of his efforts were conducted in what is today Western Ukraine, which at the time was under Polish control. Bandera led his partisans to slaughter 100,000 Poles, and his treatment of the Jews was so horrific that they fled to the German Nazis for protection. While the Soviets ultimately put down the Banderas, the memory of Stepan Bandera lived on, and today he has become a hero to the neo-Nazi movement, which has taken Ukraine by storm. Just this past January of 2022, modern Ukrainian neo-Nazis took up torches and hit the streets to celebrate Bandera's birthday. Bandera's memory also sparked the creation of neo-Nazi militias and political organizations. After the fall of the Soviet Union, disciples of Bandera formed a political party called the Social National Party of Ukraine, but was later known as Svoboda. Svoboda would later form a youth organization called C14, with the 14 in C14 in reference to the 14 words coined by American David Lane, who spoke these racist 14 words, quote, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children." C14 has sadly turned Ukraine's young people into a violent, racist street gang. Sadly, the city of Kiev more recently handed over some policing duties to C14, which went on a violent spree of pogroms against Romani people. Today's leader of C14, a man by the name of Yevhen Karas, has publicly explained how neo-Nazis in Ukraine played a key role in the 2014 coup.
Націоналісти якби були там ключовим фактором однозначно і на фронті. Зараз дуже багато є спекуляцій. Ну, нациків вже ж було небагато, там, ну, ЛГБТшники, там, посольства кажуть, ну, скільки там було там нациків? Ну, нациків там було там 10% там, ну, запаяних, ідейних. Ну, це ж питання в тому, це може так казати лише Йов, який не був на війні, не знає, наскільки оцих от 10%, хоча там навіть може даже менше було, я думаю, націоналістів було хай там даже 8%, ну, наскільки це в пропорції ефективності впливу, наскільки це складало просто галопуючи безкінечну підвищення ефективності. Не було б цих 8%, бо ефективність упала б на 90%. То тут не в числі мова. Так само, як на Майдані. Зараз вже почали ліваки, там, фонди Бьоля там, і так далі перераховувати. Ну, націоналістів там було, там, да, вони були впливові. Там. Та які впливові? Не було б націоналістів, все би це от пішло би сразу на гей-парад.
It was this very coup that ultimately led to the conflict in Ukraine we see today. In that same statement, Karas explains that the neo-Nazis started a war with Russia and are using the West to arm themselves in hopes of destroying Russia and becoming a major regional power.
Не тому, що ми хороші, як нам кажуть, нам допомагає Захід, бо вони хочуть нам блага, тому що ми виконуємо задачі Заходу. Тому що ми єдині, хто готові їх виконувати, бо нам весело, нам прикольно убивати і прикольно воювати. І вони думають, вау, давайте вже подивимося, що це буде. Тому виник цей новий альянс, про який зараз говорять там Туреччина, Польща, Британія, Україна. Тут ми тут флагман. Тому що ми затіяли війну, якої не було вже останніх 60 років. Так от, уявіть собі, скільки в нас зброї, скільки в нас ветеранів. А тепер уявіть, зникає Росія, вона розвалюється. Тобто виникає там 5 Росій, там ні до Росії і так далі. На європейському континенті найбільше. Тільки в Британії, там, здається, більше. Ви розумієте, цей потенціал цих збройних сил це стане проблемою зразу для всіх, хто зараз там десь там намагається робити хенькі уколи. І оце от є наша радість і наша печаль. Чому, щоб ви розуміли, чому так все важко? Не тому, що ми, українці, 300 років, наша дупа страждала, чому ж нарешті влада до нас не впаде, ми такі хороші, ми хочемо в Європу. Ні, це величезна, потужна держава, і якщо ми тут прийдемо до влади, це буде і радість, і проблеми для всього світу. Тому це величезна амбітна задача. Ми живемо дуже в класний час, і тому перед нами стоять...
Ukraine's neo-Nazi problem is not only found in the political sphere, but in the military as well. Many neo-Nazi militias were created and later fully integrated into the Ukrainian military. Perhaps the most infamous of them is the Azov Battalion. The Azov Battalion is named after the Sea of Azov, located just off the east coast of the Crimean Peninsula. It's based out of Mariupol, the city that has become a major battleground in the conflict. The military insignia of the Azov Battalion echoes the infamous Nazi insignia of the SS. What's worse, members of the Azov Battalion, as well as members of other neo-Nazi militias, typically tattoo large swastikas on themselves when they join the militia. This is why we're seeing Russian forces stop and check the torsos of every man using humanitarian corridors out of Mariupol. It's said that some 14,000 troops of the Kiev regime are now trapped in Mariupol, and Russia will not allow a single Nazi among them to escape. One factor that we need to consider, given that the neo-Nazis in these militias are ethnic nationalists, is that they despise all those who are not ethnic Ukrainians. Sadly, nearly half of Ukrainian civilians are ethnic Russians. This means that Azov Battalion members take delight in causing terror and misery for these ethnic Russians in South and East Ukraine. We've heard stories of ethnic Russians burned alive in Odessa, and in Mariupol we've seen videos emerge of ethnic Russians murdered in their cars as they attempted to flee toward the Russian lines. Civilians now being rescued by Russian forces speak of the terrors that members of the Azov Battalion have unleashed on the people. And this is why many ethnically Russian Ukrainian citizens see Russian forces as true liberators. It also makes us question how many civilian deaths have come not at the hands of Russians, but at the hands of Russia-hating neo-Nazi Ukrainian ethnic nationalists. Finally, we've seen the problem of Nazism in Ukraine make its way to the media. For its part, the Western media has done its best to cover for the neo-Nazis in Ukraine. PBS, for example, interviewed a neo-Nazi mayor in Ukraine and simply blurred the picture of Bandera on the wall behind him. But despite their best efforts, the terrible truth of neo-Nazism in Ukraine is presenting itself more fully every day. Just days ago, one journalist in Ukraine used his national platform to call for a genocide upon Russia. And I kid you not, he even quoted Adolf Eichmann, the father of Nazi Germany's final solution, as a guide to Ukraine as it seeks the goal of a Russian genocide.
Зацитувати слова Адольфа Ейхмана, який сказав, що для того, щоб знищити націю, потрібно нищити в першу чергу дітей. Тому що вбиваючи їхніх батьків, діти виростуть і обов'язково помстяться. Вбиваючи дітей, вони ніколи не виростуть, і нація зникне.
Ukraine does indeed have a Nazi problem, and it goes back a very long time. It's rooted in a racist, ethnic nationalist ideology that seeks to eradicate from its lands anyone not sharing the Ukrainian ethnicity. It presents a clear and present danger to the ethnically Russian population, which comprises nearly half of the country. It's cost the lives of roughly 14,000 men, women, and children in the Donbass. So when we hear Vladimir Putin demanding the denazification of Ukraine, please take it very seriously. He absolutely means it, and he plans to fully carry it out. Feel free to drop us a comment about today's video. Give us a like and share this video if you enjoyed today's content. It's a great way to support the channel and help inform others. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.